Hi there, Mitch Tanenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today for this month's CMMC update. So there actually is some significant news here. For those of you who have been waiting around, wondering whether CMMC is actually going to happen, I think we're making forward progress, good forward progress. So as I've said before, and probably most of you know, there are two parts to CMMC, what's called Title 32 and Title 48. The Title 32 part is the part which is the mechanics of the program. That means, what does being certified mean? Who needs to get certified? How does a certifier become certified? All those kind of things. That's what's in Title 32. Title 48 is the part that says, here's the contract language that we're going to add to your contract and what the implications of that are. So the Title 48 is in the public comment period, but the comment period ends in 2 days. And then the government has to digest that. So that's kind of old news, I guess. What's new news is the fact that the Title 32 part was published in the Federal Register today. What that means is that in 60 days, it becomes effective. And, you've heard people say, well, are you CMMC certified or stuff like that? Well, turns out that as of right now and forever, in history in the past, literally there was no legal way that you could be certified. So that's a bogus question. It's kind of a trick question to see whether you're paying attention, I guess. 60 days from today, which I think is about December 15th, you can be certified. It is possible. It's technically possible. A C3 PAO can go off and assess you and submit their assessment for certification to the government. There's still some mechanics that need to happen and stuff like that. We don't know the details of how that's going to work, but pretty soon you'll be able to be certified. Now, that doesn't mean that they can put that language in a contract. That's completely different. But if you want to get ahead of the power curve, it does mean that you can get certified. Now, just as a caveat, right, if you haven't started, expect to spend a year getting ready. And then once you've gotten ready, what the assessors are saying at this point today, we don't know what it'll be like tomorrow, in a month or 2 months. Right now, if you go off and say, I want to be assessed, and they look at you and they decide that, there's a possibility that you actually will get complete the assessment, you're going to wait 6 months to get assessed. So, and then however long it takes the DOD to approve that and all that stuff. So, if you haven't done it yet, figure, a year and a half, something like that. It's going to be a while. But the good news is in the register. Now, there is something called the Congressional Review Act, which allows Congress to go off and review major regulations. This is a major regulation. Congress can review it. The Congressional Review Act gives Congress 60 legislative days to go off and approve something or disapprove it. Now, approve it, they don't do anything. There is no, quote, approval. The only thing they can do is disapprove it. So what that would require in those 60 days is to create a bill, to pass the bill in both houses of Congress and get the president to sign it. That's highly unlikely, especially given all the work that DOD has done at this point. But, nobody's safe while Congress is in session, so it's certainly possible, but highly unlikely. There are not 60 legislative days left in this session, so the Congressional Review Act does have a look-back provision, which means that once the new Congress comes into session on whatever it is, January 5th or January 6th, they have 60 days to look back at all the things that happened in the last session, within the right window. So we're talking about the next Congress looking at things. And so anyway, no one knows what that means, but likely it means that nothing's going to happen because Congress can't agree on anything. It's something as major as, setting back a defense security program, which is trying to protect us against the Chinese, the Russians, North Koreans, and people like that, a decade, because this has been in works that long. It seems highly unlikely that Congress might whine, they might whatever, but I suspect that it's very unlikely they're going to do anything. So that's where we are in Title 32. Title 48, as I said, the comment period ends in 2 days. So expect that to go through the grinder in the government and be popped out maybe April or May. The Title 32, if you want a copy, just let me know, or you can find it in the Federal Register. is 470 pages, the regulation, of which 70 is the actual regulation. The other 400 pages, and this is really important, are the justification for why they're doing it. What that does is it provides ammunition for those, people who say, well, you didn't look at this or you didn't look at that or whatever. Well, yes, we did. And here's why. And it's on page 53 or whatever. And there are a couple of things, and we'll be dissecting this legislation over the next couple of weeks. But one thing that someone has pointed out to me, which is a good thing, for those of you who are looking at doing enclaves, and it may well be the right answer for a lot of people, enclaves using a virtual desktop technology is going to be the cleanest solution. What the DoD has said in the regulation specifically is that if you are using a virtual desktop and you isolate the virtual desktop appropriately, then the raw computer that is connecting to the virtual desktop is not considered in scope. So what that means is that you have contained the compliance rungs to within that virtual environment, which makes life simpler. Now, you still got to deal with employee training and visitor escorts and work from home and all that stuff. Still got to do all that, but it definitely makes life easier. And it was one of those questions we didn't really know the answer to, and they have clarified that in the regulation. So that's good news. More later, but for now, if you have not already started, we've already seen that the Department of Education said they've already put out a notice of proposed rulemaking that they're going to have CMMC requirements, because all of that stuff that people provide to the government, or specifically provide to colleges on behalf of the government for student aid, that is considered CUI. So they announced a notice of proposed rulemaking that should be out in the next month or two, I think. So we're seeing other parts of the executive branch finally start moving forward with this. We're also seeing that there's a question, there has been a question about whether the National Archives is the right executive agent, which is the government buzzword for the department or agency responsible for implementing the regulation. NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration, it said that's not what we do. We don't create regulations. We look at compliance, but we don't create regulations. So it is possible that there will be an executive order, maybe in this president, maybe the next one, I don't know, that changes who the executive agent is. That would be good, because NARA has basically said, well, until you guys figure this out, we're not doing anything, which is why DoD basically did their own regulation and said, whatever they said, something you can't say in mixed company, and we're going to just go ahead, which they can do. They are legally allowed to do that. So anyway, we're seeing this thing move along. Obviously, a bunch of our allies, all of the Five Eyes, some of the Seven Eyes and Nine Eyes countries are doing this. So if you haven't already started on your CMMC journey, the Department of Energy has been very active in that as well. If you haven't started on your CMMC journey, now would be a really great time to start on that journey. And if we can help you with that, we would love to do that. So please contact us. And until next time, stay safe. And thanks for listening.